Islam Mosque, and we are reusing the ablution water. Ablution എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ എല്ലാവർക്കും അറിയുന്നറിയില്ല, ഓത് കൊടുക്കുന്ന വെള്ളം കണ്ടിട്ടുണ്ടോ എല്ലാവരും? പള്ളിയുടെ ബാക്കിൽ ഒരു ഫിൽറ്ററിംഗ് യൂണിറ്റ് ഉണ്ട്. That was completely done by the Polytechnic students, and it is now working efficiently, and we are using that water for gardening, for re-washing and washing of the bathrooms and washing the buses, the vehicles and all those things. And it is taken to all parts of different parts of the mosque, different sides of the mosque, and we are using that water. So these are all some of the lessons that we have learned out of this project, and we can implement more such projects in some other mosques also, even in our laundry also, and many other places we can do. So now we are having, as told, it is the 4th phase. This is the 4th phase, and this is an international conference. And in the future also we are planning to set up a water innovation hub, and we plan to make JDT water smart and to develop a water culture and to bring out water experts from necessities and water cleanliness, hygiene, everything. And for that purpose we have formulated the JDT water cadets, which should be passed on to each batch, from one batch to the other batch, so that this don't stop anywhere. And every year we should plan more and more programs, and for that we need young minds to give us good, bright ideas to work upon. Actually, the ablution project was an idea that came from the mind of a Polytechnic girl. I think she is here, Ummu Habiba. She's here? Yes. Where is she? Yes, see. And it was a small idea that was given by her, because she is using the ablution water at home for other purposes. And that idea she wanted to give it to us, and when that idea, that small idea was given, it is now a huge project which can be implemented everywhere. In each and every mosque it can be implemented. So like that, we JDT people need ideas from the young students. We know that you all have a lot of ideas inside you, and those ideas may become very huge things in the future. So with these words, I would like to welcome our chief guest, Dr. Harry Putzler. Very warm welcome you, sir, to this morning's function. Must not have come fruitful. Her Wiki irrigation is very famous, and you should be here in the technical session from her today, and I think it will be a very good session for you. And I welcome you, ma'am, for all the support you have given us. Dr. Hanish is the most technical man maybe in the wastewater management, and he is from A to Z a wastewater management man, and he was with us to Netherlands, and he was asking, even we have met Dr. Harry Putzler at Netherlands, and he was going on asking questions to all the experts from Netherlands. He is that much knowledge in that field, and we are tapping his expertise also. We welcome Dr. Hanish also. I would also like to welcome all the other persons.
To be here with us for this conference, I welcome Dr. P.C. Anwar sir to deliver presidential address.
Bismillah. Respected chief guest of the day, Dr. Harry, our beloved and respected Dr. Kamalam, Administrative Officer, Mrs. Sarina, Hanish Panikar, respected heads and the principals of the various institutions like the JDT institutions, my younger rights. I am just taking this opportunity to express JDT's management joy and pleasure to our chief guest who has come all the way from Netherlands as a part of the association between Saxion University and JDT Islam orphanage institutions. We do consider something rare for an institution around an orphanage to having the chance to rub the shoulders of the high-end people of the world. Probably this is due to the God's willingness to highlight or pull up the students of the JDT Islam, which was seeded or founded on the values of human values. As you know, even though we won't be knowing regularly, this institution is built up or founded on certain values to give something to the human lives. And I do consider this association on the water theme, not about the water park, on the water theme, is definitely close to the hearts of JDT, because any points you learn from this association, any deeds that you do by this association is for the human lives, for coming generations, or for our whole universe. As a part of belief, I believe that, and even the Holy Quran says, all the animals are created from water. Khalaqallahu min dabbatin min al-ma'. So, any studies, any work on the water is for the human beings, and definitely I was telling to our respected guest, the passion and love that you give to the young bloods of JDT. Various doctors are Dr. Hari is a doctor, Dr. Kandan is a doctor, Dr. Jayashree is a doctor, and many doctors are here. This doctor Dr. Hari, Dr. Anwar, Dr. Rajiv. They would like to be
young SMS, he has been given the cash awards.
Sir, of course, our students will be willing or will be like to be a doctor of Dr.
And BM sir visits our campus. They used to speak about your talents and knowledge in this field. Now we have you with us and we are ready to grab your knowledge. Sir, please.
Okay, thank you for your kind introduction. Once again, welcome. Everybody can hear me clear now on the back side? Yes? Okay. Okay, what I just said, I make a selection out of many topics I can tell about you. So I can stand here for weeks, communicating together. So I make out of selection, out of the talks we had with some of the staff members, what might be of interest of you. So the title of my talk is Water is Alive, Water is Still Alive, or the fourth phase. Of course, you all know we have gas, we have liquid, and we have ice. Is there also a fourth phase transition? I don't want to say I'm going to give the answer, but I hope I give you some inspiration to see what we can do else with water as source. Okay. Water. At one side it's a boring liquid, and the other side it gives a lot of inspiration. Walk along the beach, and you see families with happy children. However, when it is raining heavily with the muson, I don't know if water is so inspiring. Okay, this was the Netherlands. Let's say 400 years ago. It was approximately half in its size. What also was said before, approximately 60% of Holland is below sea level. The lowest point is something like minus 15 meters. However, by the introduction of dunes and dikes, we recovered a lot of area from the sea, and our bigger cities like Amsterdam and The Hague and Rotterdam, in fact, are below sea level. The place where I am living, I will show later on, is more to the east. It's at 17 meters above sea level, so there we are safe, relatively spoken. So it's not only dunes, also all kinds of other water barriers we made, and it's also part of water. So I'm not going to elaborate on this. This is more water management and delta technology. So this is the way Holland is looking now. So basically, this part is below sea level. This is Holland in Europe. There the Netherlands is, and in fact, probably you know Amsterdam, Rotterdam, and I'm living in the east, in a town close to Enschede called Hengelo. It's a mixture of urban and rural area. To give you the indication, in the complete Netherlands, 16 million people are living, 1/6. So we have no cities larger than 1 million. Even Amsterdam has less than 1 million inhabitants, to give you an idea how large we are. Then some words about Saxo, give you an indication. Our history dates back more than 100 years. The origin was in textile industry. And nowadays we have around 25,000 students, a little bit more than 2,000 staff members, and in fact we have 3 locations. We are located in 3 cities, and all those locations are close to the centers. It's in the heart of downtown, and also close to the railway stations. There are very new looking buildings. And what is especially the difference between, let's say, a research university and Saxo University of Applied Science, we have a strong relation between education and applied research. What I also told in my starting talk, it's not one-way traffic. The only way to learn to be a young professional, I always tell, if you want to clean water, you have to make your hands dirty. So that's why also I remove my coat. Because if you want clean water, you have not only to use your heart, your brain, but also your hands. So practical experience is very, very important. Cool. So we have in total 13 different schools, complete Saxion, and my chair belongs to the Life Science, Engineering and Design. And there we have 10 bachelor programs, like mechanical engineering, chemical engineering, you see them all listed. And recently we also have one professional master called nanotechnology engineering. And why I'm listing this? Because, and it will be at the end of my talk, some years ago, and it was also my responsibility, we introduced multidisciplinary projects. That means the first 2 years you are following courses specifically in one of those 10 programs, but the third and the fourth year is integrated. So when you are studying chemical engineering, you are working together with mechanical engineering, you are working together with people from electronics to solve, for instance, problems in water, to solve problems in sustainable energy, to solve any problems. So we have a strong focus on the multidisciplinary approach. Because solving the problem of clean water is not only technical, because there are technologies enough, but it's also important that you have to know how you have to operate those technologies. So you have to do sensoring, so you need people from electronics. But you also need people from education, because you have to explain to adults, young people and to children what is the importance of water. And people being trained to be a teacher at primary and secondary school can explain much better than me as a technical person to children why water is so important. Now, the same holds, for instance, for the nursery or for art. In fact, to show the importance of water, you can also use art to show how beautiful water can be if it's properly cleaned and properly be used. Okay, that is some photos of me. This was already being said. So what is my interest? Now my interest, you see on this slide, especially is capacity building. Okay, later on I will show a lot about technical works, but I think my most important interest is discussing with people how can we improve the situation. Not with big steps, because big steps looks easy, but if you take a big step, most of the time, you're bypassing, in my opinion, the simple solutions. Of course, we can put a lot of money in it, we can install new technologies, but if you are not aware of the capabilities, if you are not aware of the possibilities, if it is not inside your genes, also new technologies will not solve the problem. You have to change your attitude, you have to change the habits. So my ambition in fact is that, okay, you can reach in different ways. Water works worldwide or water works worldwide. But you have to act regionally, maybe even locally, maybe even at your home. Unless electricity, unless data communication, it costs a lot of money to transfer water. Electricity is easy, nowadays the mobile telephone, it's easy. You can live, I think, 1 or 2 days without a mobile telephone. At least I can. I don't know you, but I can. But you cannot live more than 2 days without water if you want to stay healthy. So that's maybe easy words, but think about it. What is the value of enough water at the right time in the right quality? That's a little bit our common mission, I think. How can we improve the situation directly around ourselves as starting point to spread our ideas, our knowledge, our awareness? Okay, now I'd like to start a little movie. Show a little bit, summarizing many of my ideas, and I hope
Water, our most precious resource. Together, we have established some vital goals. But what is a goal if not a promise? And what is our promise worth if not delivered? Sustainable Development Goal 6.
Ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for
by 2030, achieve
In this world of unquenchable thirst, every nation drinks at the same well. 71% of Earth's surface is water. 4% is fresh water, but only 0.5% of that is safe for human consumption. We find ourselves in deep, uncharted waters. Today, our promises are at risk, and challenges rise up more rapidly than solutions. 2 in 5 people are affected by water scarcity. 263 million people spend more than 30 minutes just to collect water, meaning less education for too many. More than 2 billion people drink water contaminated by feces. Diarrheal disease is preventable with safe water, yet it kills 1 child every minute. Our task is daunting. Climate change is one of the greatest challenges of our time, with its catastrophic effects accelerating. Shocks of drought and deluge unleash their devastation. While population growth increases demand for water, food, and energy, rivers dry up and no longer reach the sea. Ours has become a defining moment in human history. Water has forced itself to center stage. It demands that we change fundamentally. It asks that we value it profoundly. The world is waiting for leadership. We must keep our promise. Do you value water?
Okay. This movie was not made by myself. I found it on the internet. I think it's a very nice summary of my talk. On purpose, I put that at the beginning and not at the end. So hopefully it's in some kind of a guideline through my presentation. Okay. Some recent news from The Guardian that was being published in July 2016. Unfortunately, I hope you recognize it. Also, this is dealing with water. Now, the so-called plastic soup. Now, the large amount of plastic bottles we are using to get safe water. I understand it is a good way to guarantee that you have safe water, but it's not the final solution. If we continue like this, with distributing clean water only by bottles, I think we will end up with even more problems. As intermediate solution, I can understand. I've seen it here in India, I've seen it in South Africa. It's a step, but there is more behind it. And that's something, we should build together, that infrastructure, that distribution network of knowledge of proper water. Every year the World Economic Forum are analyzing the biggest challenges for the next 10 years. And this is very recently I think it was being published in January. Every year water in different forms are appearing. Extreme weather conditions, climate changes all over the world, in Europe, in Asia, in Africa. What the cause even may be, heating up or not, I don't want to discuss it. We see that weather conditions get more extreme. So in some way we have to deal with it. Water crisis. Currently, 1 month ago I was in South Africa. Cape Town is almost out of water. All their resources are over. While in the northern part, in Johannesburg, there was plenty of water. So even within one country, you have big differences. Also, more generally, the way we are capable of dealing with the climate changes. Because you have more extreme water climate conditions. That means you have many more chances that crops will fail. And if crops will fail, I don't have to tell you what can happen. Many times, young children will be the first victims. And our young children, that is the future of our country. Also, World Economic Forum. Wastewater does not exist anymore. Because water, in comparison to fossil fuels, is never ending. However, what is ending is good water, the right quality, at the right place. So, although it's easy to use the word wastewater, in fact, wastewater is a carrier of potential solutions. Only we should be aware of the solutions. So if we look, let's say, to our planet, our demand has in the last 45, 50 years more than doubled. It's not only the demand of water, it's the demand of energy, it's the demand of food, it's the demand of using soil for making food, building houses, etc., etc. In fact, and I'll show you a picture later on, we are depleting the earth. If we want to balance at this moment, in fact, this is not completely actual, but let's say if we do this at this moment, to fulfill all our needs of that 7.5 billion people, we need in fact 1.5 times our earth. Now, that's of course impossible. In fact, we're living already in spare time. Not only for water, for energy, for food, for everything. So we have to change our mindset to change this slope back to 1 to 1. But next to it, we are still dealing that population is increasing. Now, the expectation is in 2050, 9 billion people will living on this planet. But we also see, although we are increasing, people are getting more and more individually. We are looking, family life, especially in Western Europe, is less and less important. Also, we need much more products. Industrial consumption is increasing. That means, together with things we cannot influence directly, like the discussed climate change. We might expect there will be a lot of stress on water, on energy, on all kinds of nutrients, like phosphates we need as fertilizer. So, many times people say that there's a shortage of water. No, there is no shortage of water. The only shortage there is that there is not enough water of the right quality, and that water you can perfectly reuse as irrigation water. Later on I will show roughly 70% of the water use is for irrigation. So if you are dealing with smart housekeeping, look around where you can reuse the water and use proper technology for it. Don't make water sometimes too clean, because you are removing energy, you're removing nutrients that can be of much more value than always have a target to make drinking water. So if we look, for instance, to the urbanization, some pictures of 1950, if you see to world cities more than 5 million people. 2000, and at this moment you see, and also India is very rapidly growing, with cities larger than 5 million people. And it gives an enormous challenge for you all to give people drinking water, to use all the water they have produced as wastewater, to deal with energy, to deal with climate changes, to deal with food, to deal with housing, to deal with living, to deal with etc., etc., etc. It's an enormous conflict of interest. And still we have to find common sense to balance all those things. So we have increasing population, we have urban developments, rising energy costs, scarcity of nutrients, emerging contaminants. We will discuss later on a little bit. At many locations, aging infrastructure, or at least they put not enough money in maintaining the distribution network. Not only in India, but also for instance in England. In England, more than 30%, 30% of the water being produced is being lost before it reaches the households. Of course, it's a waste of water, but it also means that the distributing system is leaking. So not only leaking from inside to outside, but also infiltrating all kinds of bacteria and viruses. So water was put in the system as drinking water, and at the end it will be not city water, it will be shitty water. Because many bacteria and viruses has entered in the piping because of that leakage. So it's in two ways. You lose capacity and you lose quality of water. And if water is polluted with bacteria and viruses, you have one problem. You will not see it today, you will see it tomorrow. And then for many children or many adults, it's too late. Because then you have diarrhea, and I don't have to explain to you what will happen if you have diarrhea. But that's the biggest draw. If water tastes salty or if water is a little bit brown, you know, okay, I don't have to drink it. But if you have clear looking water, but there are bacteria and viruses in it, many times it's too late. So, what are our challenges? This is a picture summarizing 3 of our challenges, but there are many, many more. But to keep it a little bit understandable, water, food, and energy. You can read it yourself. To produce food, you need a lot of water. And when you have produced food, you are transporting a lot of drinkable water. Now, later on I will introduce very shortly the water footprint, but you can imagine now, if you look to a country like Holland, we are importing a lot of food. So we are not importing directly water. In fact, we're putting a lot of water stress somewhere else on the world by eating kiwis in the winter. Now we're importing them from New Zealand in the winter. Or by importing tea from India, etc., etc. So we put a lot of water stress somewhere else. The same holds for energy and water. To save fossil fuels, they are more moving to bio-based products. Nothing wrong about it. But when you are using corn to make bio-based energy, you have at least 2 problems. Corn is food for many people in the world. So making bio-based fuel, okay, you cannot eat it. And secondly, you're using an enormous amount of water. So that is a conflict. At one side, we want to be more bio-based, we want to be more sustainable. At the other side, you can only use water for one time. What are you going to choose? I don't know. And the same between water and energy. Of course, to transport water, you need energy. For instance, in the United States, the biggest state, California, there's a big channel of 50 meters in width going from the north of the United States to the south to transport millions of liters of water. Cost an enormous amount of energy. Or nowadays, by the depletion of groundwater, here the average is still probably 5 to 10 meters. But for instance, in the Middle East, they have to pump sometimes groundwater for more than 100 meters. It costs an enormous amount of energy. And also, if you want, India, at both sides, you have the Indian and the Arabic Ocean, so a lot of water is available. However, to remove salts out of water, you need much more energy than you have sweet groundwater. Now, to give a comparison, that may be a difference, let's say, of a factor 4 to 5. So again, we need money and energy to make out of seawater drinking water. So there are many interests of conflicts, choices you have to make depending on the situation where you are. There is no right answer. Every time you have to deal with technical and non-technical aspects. That's a little bit my message to you. Don't focus only on one aspect. Try to overlook the complete situation. And based on that, you have to make your decisions. So for instance, how the sewer system in Holland was developed. In fact, we are already dealing with it 150 years. So what also previous speakers has discussed when they were in Holland, they saw a very nice system. It was not of yesterday, it was not of 10 years ago. In fact, we started somewhere in 1875. So we have removing the wastewater out of the city, giving it to the nature, and nature starts to clean it, and later on you were able to recycle it. Then one big step later on, 2000 years later, in London, cholera, a lot of diseases. Then and of course the city has been grown, so a lot of people were living in a close, narrow area, and then they realized, okay, we have to do something. Then the first, let's say, wastewater treatment system was erected. They did settling of the organics. And in fact, organic loads, if there are no heavy metals in it and no medicines in it, it's some kind of fertilizer. So they use it as fertilizer. And you see, 50 years later, we started that we have to remove the organic loads. So aeration was introduced. And you see the scheme gets more and more complicated. But still, because we didn't use chemicals in the cleaning system, the sludge was clean. After digesting to make biogas, you were able to use it as fertilizer. Then in the 70s, we had to start to remove the ammonia by vitrification and denitrification. So we introduced again some steps. In the 80s, the problems of phosphate. So you can remove phosphate by means of biology, and you can remove phosphate by chemicals. So more and more chemicals were introduced, and at that point, it was not allowed anymore to use the sludge after digestion as fertilizer. Nowadays, it's being burned. And by burning it, you're solving the problem on the sludge, but you are destroying a lot of phosphates. In the previous one, if you are using as fertilizer, you are still reusing it as fertilizer, so it came back in the plants and animals. But nowadays, we are putting a lot of phosphate in ash. And we have to change. Okay, in the 80s, additional removal of ammonia and phosphate, you see the system get more and more complicated. Nowadays, we are dealing with endocrine disrupting components. So what are we going to do? Again, extend it? Or is it now time to stop and say, okay, we have to do it differently? In our case, it will be very difficult. Of course, to give you an indication, in Holland, 90.9% of all the wastewater, municipal and industrial, is being cleaned. We have something like 400 of those wastewater treatment plants. Something like 60 billion euro is invested in that. That means 6 times 100, that, and you have approximately. So an enormous amount of money is invested. We are not going to de-invest it. It's impossible. So by improving in order to make our wastewater treatment plant more sustainable, we have to invest a lot. And that is a big advantage of countries like India. Your infrastructure is less developed. So for you, it's much easier to introduce a more sustainable solution by making use of the current technology. Not making use of old systems, of old-fashioned systems, although they're working fine. They destroy energy, they are destroying ammonia, they are destroying phosphates, they are not yet removing medical leftovers. The water you cannot reuse because we have transported all the water out of the cities, so we have to invest again to bring back the water from outside to inside. So we again have to invest billions of euros to make the system sustainable. Although we were always a winning team, at this moment I think we are losing between quotation marks. So we are losing the possibility to introduce new technologies. So, how does the situation in the future look? What are our cities of the future? In fact, we have to balance things like energy, food, water, nutrients, living, etc., etc., etc. What I want to make clear is, I don't have the answer. Every situation is different. But as a young professional, you should be aware of your responsibility that based on your knowledge, based on your position, you have to be informed properly. Don't only look to your own discipline. Involve other disciplines. Take your responsibility. Because your decision for a certain technology can solve maybe technically spoken the problem, but does not mean that you have solved the social problem, the ecological problem, the economical problem, etc., etc. So look over the borders of the program, whatever you are studying, nursing, chemical, civil engineering, whatever, look over the borders, so take your responsibility. And once again, the solution does not exist. You always have to be dealing with the current situation. So if you look then once again to the urban water chain, now you recognize of course the use. Household or industry. You're using drinking water, you're making wastewater. Then after treatment, you're putting it back to nature. And be aware that the current technology, treated wastewater is not drinking water. So the treatment is making treated water, and you are making a lot of waste, the sludge, as discussed before. And then nature does also its jobs. It's re-infiltrating in aquifers, or it's going to surface water, and then by means of a drinking water treatment plant, we are making drinking water again. So, and that it's running for years, for decades, for ages, etc., etc. However, as stressed before, with this system, we are not able to reuse water properly, to recover energy properly, or to reuse nutrients. So we have to change the system. So in fact, here's some slides, missing not so important term. So in fact, we have to change the system. Now, of course, it's very difficult to influence 9 billion people. So to change the use of water is very difficult. Also, we cannot change nature. Although we're trying, in fact, we have to deal how nature is working. So in fact, our focus will be on the treatment system. In fact, speaking about our wastewater treatment system, we want to speak about the resource factory. It's a resource of water, it's a resource of energy, it's a resource of all kinds of nutrients, and maybe other things. I don't know yet, because we are still developing new technologies. For instance, what was said before, don't remove all the nutrients, because 70% of the water worldwide is used as irrigation water. So keep the ammonia, keep the phosphates, and try to develop it in such a way that you can reintroduce the water as irrigation water for your garden. Then you are putting it in your garden, plants are extracting the nutrients, and water is being filtrated through the soil, to the groundwater. It stays there, and by penetrating the soil, you have some kind of a sand filter, and then you can reuse the water as drinking water. So in this way, you're still making drinking water, but in between, it's being used for irrigation. Okay, that's simple words, only thinking concepts. be aware what is the application of the water. Not all water should have drinking water quality. Don't only look technical, look to the context, look to the concept, where the water is being used and being reused. To give you an indication, in Holland, the daily consumption is 130 liters per day. Now, we're using it to take a shower, we're using it to flush in the toilet, washing the clothes, and you only see 1 to 2% we doing for direct consumption. That means only 2 to 3 liters per day. Now, in that perspective, of course, is distributing drinking water by means of bottles is not so bad. Because the rest of the water can be of lower quality. However, in Holland, I showed you the picture of the sewage system. There was the same development in the drinking water system. Also in the 1875, we started with our distributing network. And nowadays, 100% of the houses in Holland is connected to the distribution network. And 24/7, water of drinking water quality is entering our homes. We are using this water to take a shower, we use drinking water to take a shower. Oh, we use drinking water to flush our toilets, we use drinking water to wet our gardens, we clean our cars with drinking water. And I can imagine that you say, you are stupid. In fact, you are right. But once again, you have to look back. It's a history, it's development 150 years. And do you have any idea how much we pay for water in Holland? If we buy 1,000 liters of water, how much dollars or euro it is, you think? Any idea? Approximately $1, €1 we pay for drinking water, delivered at home 24/7. And more than 60% of those costs is in a distribution network. No? So to bring to Dutch houses drinking water and housekeeping network water, housekeeping water is a big de-investment again. That's why we have chosen in Holland to stick to drinking water and to wash our cars with drinking water. Because the difference between drinking water quality and household water is only 1 or 2 euro cents. And the risk is too large that children who cannot read drinking water, not drinking water, and drinking the raw water. So based on health, we have decided we stay to one type of water. But if you have to start from green fields, like in the situation in India, you have the choice to do it differently. Let's say only to produce housekeeping water for laundry, for flushing your toilets, and only at special point do an additional treatment, point of use, to make drinking water. So once again, centralized or decentralized, both are good solutions. It's depending on the moment you can start the development where you have to choose for. Then about the value of water. I already said to you, I want to introduce the water footprint. For instance, to make one sheet of paper. Okay, completely dry. How much water do you need to make one sheet of paper? Any idea? How many liters of water I do need to make one sheet of paper? Any idea? Now do a guess. Please, say a number. 4 liters of water. Somebody else less or more? At the right wing, left wing? Okay, 10 liters. To make 1 cup of tea, 30 cc. How many liters of water I do need? How many liters of water? Okay. 30 liters per glass. Apple. Okay, when you buy it, It's a little bit wet, but how many liters of water I need to let one apple grow?
1 liter.
70. Cup of coffee, 140 liters. Okay, this is also for deaf children. One Big Mac, you know it, Big Mac.
200.
How many liters of water do we need to produce one Big Mac?
250.
Any idea at the back side?
300. 300.
300. 300
liter.
You see, it's increasing. Its education not so strong. Yeah, it's from 10 to 30 to 11. So what number will be here? Any idea? Oh, I can't hear you, so I will show you. Yes. To make one Big Mac, you need 2,400 liters of water.
അടുത്ത പറയാ 5,000. 5,000.
You see, that is the conflict we have. Food is asking a lot of water. Indirect water, vertical water, because when you look to our Big Mac, we see of course meat. 1 kilogram of cow meat costs 15,000 liters of water. 1 kilogram. But also the cheese is made out of milk, and the milk is coming from an animal, and the animal needs corn. So first you have to make corn. You need water, the corn you have to give to an animal, the animal has to produce it, so also cheese. And I will show you 1 kilogram of cheese is asking 5,000 liters of water. So that does mean, of course you can save water at home, but not drinking so much or not flushing the toilet so many times. But compared to the way you're eating your food, you're choosing your food, you can save much more water. Maybe not at home, but worldwide spoken, the way of living, you have a big impact on how much water should be available somewhere at the right moment in the right quality. I will show you later on that 95% of the water used in Holland is outside the Netherlands. But this is, let's say, the so-called water footprint. Here you see many countries, and here you see how many cubic meters of water per year per person you need. So in India, you'll use around 1,000 cubic meters of water per person per year in the way you are living. Yeah? The food you are eating, but also the clothes you are wearing, the things you have at home. Now, on average, a citizen worldwide is using 1,400. So in Holland, we are almost at the average, while the United States, as being expected, is far to the right. They're using, worldwide spoken, by the way, they are consuming an enormous amount of water. But they're putting a lot of water stress in South America, in Middle America, in Africa, in Asia. And that is really the story behind the value of water. It's not only domestic, you have to have a worldwide vision about it. So this was what I promised, for instance, in Holland. Yeah, our strawberries are coming from Spain, our cotton cloth are coming from India and from China, our soya beans are coming from Argentina, our roses in the winter are coming from Kenya, etc., etc. So if you look at the water use in Holland, only 3% is domestic use. 97% is outside our houses. From that, 83% is directly related to food, and the rest, 40%, is to industrial products. So in general, 95% of our water use is outside Holland. So we put in a lot of water stress in India, in Argentina, in Spain, in Kenya, etc. etc. So although we say we are saving water by having shower-saving water systems, the biggest water saving is in supermarkets. It's depending on the goods you are choosing. What are we going to eat this evening? Are we going to eat domestic local food, or are we going to eat kiwis in the winter, which are being imported from New Zealand, from the other side of the world? That is the food for thought. Has nothing to do with technology, has to do with attitude. The way you are. If you know the chain, then you know where you have to start to improve it. Here you see, let's say, a picture of the worldwide water use, and you see more than 70% on average is still agriculture. Also, a country like the United States, still 2/3 of the water use in the United States is used for agriculture. Now, in Europe, it looks not so much, but what I just explained, we are importing a lot of water, virtually spoken, from South America, from Asia. So, in fact, I don't want to say that we are the reason for your problems, but in Holland and in Western Europe, that is the awareness that we should have. Water is a worldwide challenge. You have to solve it locally, but the impact is really worldwide. So, reuse it, or reuse it, reuse it, and recycle it. Okay, this was a more general part. Now I want to focus a little bit more on technology. We are currently developing at the university. And in fact, I have 3 research lines. I'm looking to water energy, to water and materials, and of course, water and awareness. And of every 3, I would like to give you an example what has been developed at the university together with companies. What I also said in the beginning, we are a University of Applied Science. We do not fundamental research. All our research is in cooperation with companies to develop and to introduce new technologies. I think some of you are aware of aerobic water treatment. Now you put oxygen in it and you're transferring organics into carbon dioxide. It's a good method, nothing wrong about it. However, it costs energy. Approximately to remove 1 kilogram of chemical oxygen demand of organic load, you need half a kilowatt per hour. That does not look a lot, but if you know how much wastewater is being treated, if you are calculated, it's an enormous amount of energy you are spoiling. Because you are burning without fire COD until carbon dioxide. And also, you are producing a lot of sludge. Of course, to burn that biomass, you need activated sludge. And activated sludge is eating wastewater. They are absorbing phosphates, so you're removing also phosphates from the water. And the sludge you cannot reuse because you're also using chemicals, so it's chemical waste, so you have to burn it. So in that way, you are wasting organic load and you are wasting phosphates because you cannot reuse it. You cannot change it completely, but if you do not do aerobic treatment, then we do anaerobic treatment, so without oxygen, we can produce out of wastewater, we can make biogas. It's also happening at the wastewater treatment plant at the hospital. There they have USB technology, and there they are producing biogas. At this moment, it's not being used, but technically spoken, you can harvest the biogas. And then, instead of losing energy, you're making energy. So out of every kilogram of COD, you can make 3.5 kilowatts electricity equivalent. And also you're producing less sludge, so you're producing less waste. There's one drawback. The current technologies, the effluent quality of a conventional aerobic system is better than the post-treatment, than the anaerobic system. I will show you a picture later on, but we can improve it, and I also will show that. So, the top page, you see a very schematically way how the current conventional anaerobic systems are dealing. You have a big tank, you have sludge, you are feeding it, and because of the anaerobic conditions, the microorganisms are digesting the organic load, and they are producing biogas by means of methane. At the top side, you have some kind of settler, and there sludge is being separated from the water, and the water is being purged to be reused or to be treated further. The problem is not here, the problem is in the clarifier. There, the quality has to be improved. And what we have done at the university, we have introduced a membrane filter. And I will show you a bit later on how a membrane filter looks. The membrane has very little pores and is an excellent barrier against bacteria and viruses. So all the bacteria will stay inside the system. And because of that, the effluent quality will improve, but also the amount of biogas will increase from 85% to more than 95%. So the water quality will be better, and also the amount of biogas will increase. Now we have tested that together with a company making potato salads. It was a factory, so after flotation to remove all the fat, we split the stream. This is the conventional one with the USB, etc. And next to it we put a so-called anaerobic membrane bioreactor. Here you see the system. Now, it was operated in certain conditions, it's not so important for now. And what we saw, this is the effluent. At the left side, you see the effluent of a conventional anaerobic system like the hospital. It's still black. And black because there's still a lot of microorganisms and organic load in it. And at the left side, after the membrane, you see it's much more clear. It's still in yellow, but in fact all the bacteria and viruses have been removed. So this water is free of bacteria, is free of viruses, is free of organic load, but still all the ammonia and phosphates are in it. So perfect water for irrigation. You can reuse it directly. Now, what was happening? What you see here is, here you see the time scale, and here you see the amount of COD. The blue one is showing the amount of COD in the influent, so the feeding to the reactor. It's approximately 5,000 grams per liter of organic load. And after the USB or after the membrane reactor, you see the load in red. It's the USB. You see it has been increased from 5,000 to, let's say, 1,000 to 1,500. 80% of efficiency. Well, by introducing the membrane, it goes to something like 100 or 200. So more than 95% removal of organic load, meaning better quality of water and more biogas. And this water you can reuse directly here. So you see, this is the absolute scale. The anaerobic bioreactor removes on average 20% more biomaterial than a conventional system. Okay, this system is more expensive by introducing membrane, but the value of the water is also much higher. More biogas, and you're producing, in fact, liquid fertilizer can be reused directly. And that's what I said, technical, economically, you have to use to look for the direct application of it. Now, this system has been made commercial together with some companies. This is an example of the Mars factory, the chocolate bar. And they are using this technology to make their system more sustainable. Now, the next development where we are currently working on, the previous example was really on industrial wastewater with relatively high loads of organics, 5,000 to 10,000 milligrams. However, domestic load is much less. It's, let's say, between 500 and 750 milligrams per liter. So we have less organic load, and secondly, also temperature is lower. And a disadvantage of anaerobic treatment compared to aerobic treatment is that you need preferably temperatures higher than 25, 30 degrees. And in general, at least in Holland, the temperature of municipal wastewater is much lower. So we have to change the anaerobic conditions. So at this moment, together with the biotechnology department, we're working on to improve the reactor. Can we develop sludge? Can we develop bacteria which are able to produce biogas at temperatures lower than 20 degrees and with less organic loads than in industrial? And that is possible because nature is smart. Only nature needs time to adapt. And normally we don't give nature time to adapt. If you give nature time to adapt, new microorganisms will be developed, able to treat under different conditions wastewater. And that's at this moment research going on in my group, together with other disciplines, not only chemical engineering, not only civil engineering, just together with chemistry and biotechnology, to find new ways of anaerobic digesting under mild conditions. Now, in this project, also the University of South Florida is involved, and we also working together with the Dutch Ministry of Defense. Sounds maybe a little bit strange. What has the Ministry of Defense to do with water technology? Not a lot. Because when there is a mission abroad, when the United Nations is sending a central wastewater treatment plant. Now, this is a picture I always show to my students. I will explain it. What you see here. Here you see some big wastewater treatment systems in Holland. As I said before, centralized systems. At the left side, you see the biggest one in Holland in Amsterdam. And at the y-axis, you see the total amount of pure cocaine, sorry for the example, being produced daily. So in the effluent of the wastewater treatment of Amsterdam, so in the cleaned water, if you make a 24-hour sample, you will find 1 kilogram of pure cocaine. Of course, it's a bad declaration in Amsterdam, I know, but it only is showing the problem. The water is clean, it is fulfilling all the requirements, but still if you look into cocaine, which you can the same case from diclofenac or whatever, there will be, relatively spoken, an enormous amount of medicines in the cleaned water. And they are being very diluted, but because we are recycling and reusing the water, we can expect in the coming decades that the concentration will increase from picograms to nanograms and maybe milligrams. And then we will have a problem. Then our surface water will be spoiled with a lot of medical leftovers. And all that surface water can also be groundwater, is the source of our drinking water. So we have to find a solution to remove all those medicines out of our waste and drinking water. There is still some time, but we have to start now. Otherwise we are too late over 10, 15, 25 years. The same, we just discussed this part. You develop a new bioreactor to produce biogas and to make water for irrigation. And now we want to improve the system also by giving it the possibility to remove medical leftovers, heavy metals, resistant antibiotica, etc., etc. Also, therefore, we are using membranes. A membrane is like a sponge. People who have visited the hospital, you know, at the right side there is a membrane system, filtration, followed by reverse osmosis, recycling the wastewater to be used for laundry. So in fact, at the hospital there is already a recycling going on. But that system is not yet removing medical leftovers. Here you see in one slide the most important membrane filtration processes. I will not elaborate on it because I can tell weeks about it. But basically there are 4 different processes. If you only want to remove bacteria, they are of submicrons, you can use microfiltration. If you also want to remove viruses, you have to go a little bit tighter, you have to go to ultrafiltration. If you also want to remove color, medical leftovers, and hardness, you have to go to nanofiltration. And if you want to make ultra pure water, you need reverse osmosis, and you're also removing salts. So, depending on the application, only bacteria, also viruses, hardness of complete, you choose for the proper technology. So don't choose always for the reverse osmosis. Because if you're using reverse osmosis, you're also removing all your minerals. And you need some magnesium, you need some calcium as drinking water. Otherwise, your body will not function well. So what we are doing, and we are doing this together with chemical engineering. Now we are developing a new chemistry to put on this porous substructure a dense layer which is able to retain medical leftovers. And this is a simple water-based system because those membranes already exist. For instance, in a system in a hospital they're using so-called spiral membranes. They are polyamides, it's very technical, but those polyamide layers you need a very special hexane-based chemistry. Now you can imagine hexane, probably you know, is not a very friendly chemical. So you are producing a water filter, but you need a lot of chemicals. So that is for the life cycle analysis not positive. So what we are developing together with the University of Twente, we are developing a water-based chemistry to make out of a porous membrane, a membrane that is capable to retain medicines. In fact, what we are doing, you see here the porous layer, we are coating on it a very thin layer of, let's say, 100 nanometers. And this layer is capable to retain a lot of industrial and domestic medications. Here you see an example. Now you see bisphenol A, atenolol. All those components you see have a comparable molecular weight. They are around, let's say, between 200 and 400 grams per mole. But what you also see is that they have a different charge. They are neutral, they are minus, or they are positive. And that's very important. Although the size is the same, the charge is influencing very strongly the way if they are being retained or not. Here you see the reaction. You see some components are retained for 100%, and other components are artificial turf. Because you can imagine, playing is very important at primary schools. So, in South Africa, many times people live in the complete week. So, students from between the 6 and the 12 live in the complete week at the primary school. Only in the weekend they go home. So, besides education, they need also sports. Now, next to it is called a containerized water filter. We come back on it later on. And this is an artificial pitch. So independent of the water, they always can play whatever they want. Play football, play cricket, or all kinds of other sports. In fact, it's also a place for social gathering. You can do some community building over there. Now, similar like here in India, we make a use of groundwater. So we place a simple borehole pump, and from the borehole we are pumping the water to the container, and in the container there's a complete water filtration system. And we have designed the system in such a way that in fact it's 100 principle. So there is some simple POC in it, so our electronic students have designed a simple control system, and in fact it's only. So this is showing the example of membrane filtration, and once again, one of my students from South Africa who explained it to their fellow students how it's working. I did the first time, and the rest, they were telling each other, they were teaching themselves. And here you see clean water is being produced. Here you see the rest of the system. Besides membrane filtration, we also have active carbon. We also have UV to make bacteria and virus-free water, because that's essential to guarantee no viruses present. No, and also the wastewater we are producing, because any process is also we are collecting. Also here you see we also installed some tapping points. This is real line, it was in January. And of course, any process is also making wastewater. You cannot avoid it. We are not spoiling this wastewater. This wastewater is being collected and is being used for irrigation. So what we are doing now, together with the teachers of biology, we want to make a very small greenhouse that the pupils are going to make themselves their own vegetables. But there was a little. Yeah, so we want to make that they get aware that also wastewater has a value. You can use it as rainwater, after using it as drinking water, you can use it as irrigation water. Capacity building is important here. Can our students explain the working principle? So this is an example. Of course, technology is there, but the most important thing is awareness, capacity building, but also train the trainer. That students themselves are explaining them how things are working. Of course, I will be there to correct, but basically they're explaining themselves how the principle is working. And that's the best way, in my opinion, to understand filtration systems. Thank you, Mark. Not completely ready yet, almost. Yeah, I know it's a long sit, but we have almost finished. So in total, we are going to install 20 of those football pitches in South Africa. We started in 2015, so we still have three more years to go. And what is important, of course, we're talking about water purification. But it's also important that we introduce sport for children. It's community development, because we are teaching the teachers, but also the people, the value of water. And of course, they have to do it themselves. What I showed you also in the little animation, the teachers and the technicians of the schools are training each other. Because that's the best way to hand over the message. I can give them a big course, you read it, you think you understand it, if there's a problem, you don't know where to look. So we are really training problem solving. Now this is the way it looks. Here you see the pitch, the container, the tapping points. Of course, we are organizing all kinds of activities because it's important as a community place. Here is the principle. what was not yet shown in the animation. Here you see the artificial grass, but below it we do rainwater harvesting. So we don't place the artificial grass on sand. In fact, below it we have a water collecting system. So also here, when it's raining a lot, you are not capable to harvest or to store the water. But if you have locations where you do sports and you can install, let's say, artificial grass on top of the water collecting system, and you can make them 1 meter in height, you can store a lot of water. And this is relatively cheap. That are crates made out of plastic. Now you need some kind of a plastic. Now you don't need concrete, but if you have parking places, playing cards is a very relatively cheap way to store a lot of water. On top of it, you place artificial grass, so you can play sports. And in this way, you are able, maybe not as drinking water, maybe you can use it for laundry or for other applications. A very good way of creating awareness of the possibility of water harvesting in relation to the moment we need the water. So, of course, explanation from my side, training in practice, but once again also teach themselves. Huh? That's once again the best way to understand. And of course, the problem we also discussed in the beginning, are we going to use plastic bottles? Yes, we will. Because many people are quite common to drink water like this, and if you are not aware that bacteria and viruses you cannot see, if you are drinking water like this, in fact you're drinking again water with bacteria. So we're also trying to train the students to use bottles. Preferable reusable bottles, but at least don't use your hands, but trying to use a clean cup. It's a very nice example, let's say, for nursery students, yeah, to also take part in a water capacity building, because it's their responsibility to train people. If you want to stay healthy, you need some kind of a bottle or cup to drink water. Now, of course, to test it. And then, the last thing I want to give you as a message. I also presented it yesterday in the other audience. Probably you know the company Nestlé. Yeah, they make Nescafé and those things. Their former CEO said in 2030, water is not a right, it should be privatized. Okay. I can stop over here, but still I want to ask something to it. How that CEO was able to say that? Now, if you look at a bottle of water, I looked, there are more than 2,500 different brands, and the biggest supplier of hot water, and all kinds of brands, and for sure also in India, Nestlé will have a brand. Nestlé is the biggest producer worldwide of bottled water. And I think, in my opinion, that's the explanation behind this. Nestlé is making a big profit out of supplying bottled water. At one side, it's a good mission to supply bottled water, but at the other side, you can raise the question, is it the work of a public company to provide clean water and making enormous amount of profits? And they do. No final answer for me, only some food for thought, yeah, to take home. And next to it, going back to the plastic bottle, when you buy a PET bottle with half liter of water, in fact you are buying 6 liters of water. Because the bottle also has to be produced. And to produce a bottle of half liter, you need almost 5 liters of water. So once again, solving your thirst over here gives a problem of water at another location, making the bottle. So once again, it's more complex than only buying water. I'm not judging buying water, I only give you food for thought to overthink what is the right way to go. How are we going to solve that the problem of drinking water? So in fact, in some way, we should keep connected. Not one-way traffic, two-way traffic. Please inspire each other. Okay, then to conclude, in my opinion, innovation is cooperation. If we have a good idea, we cannot share it with other people, it will not lead to any innovation. Then it will end up in your drawer or maybe in your wastebox. You have to share it. And for you as students, it's very important to be part of that sharing. At this moment you are still at school, at Polytechnic and university, but you will end up in a company, maybe you will end up in the government. But currently place yourself in the middle of it. Because you do not have so much experience, you have sometimes much better ideas than people with a lot of experience. Because they have, I don't know how you say it in English, they only have those tunnel vision. You still do not have a lot of knowledge, but you have ideas. Use those ideas. Work together with different disciplines. Place yourself in the center. See yourself not as a burden. Because sorry, I don't have yet the grades. I don't have past examination yet. Okay, there's knowledge in the books. But think with your heart, with your brains, with your head, with your heart, and use your hands. Every idea can be part of the solution. So that's why, of course, knowledge is important. Even more important are the skills, but for me the fundament is your attitude. You should be aware of your decisions. Whatever discipline you have, nursing, art, civil engineering, chemical engineering, education, etc., etc. Be aware that a simple decision from you. During the preparation, I will also tell a little bit about the kind of project work we are doing. And also yesterday, and the day before, we visited the hospital, the wastewater treatment plant hospital, and they asked me advice, how can we improve it? How can we improve it? Okay, I say, okay, in 1 hour I cannot give good opinion. I need more time for it. But I think you have many experts over here, of course, on the first row, especially on all the last rows. There are your experts, so please, as I said, involve those students in some way.